excited to talk about this next session. It's called Drive Multi-Channel Sales Effortlessly with eCommerce and Integration. We have two speakers. The first speaker is Chintan Shah. He's the Vice President of Sales and Key Account Management at I-95 bringing over 15 years of experience in technology sales and leadership with a strong background in global sales strategies and a track record of success at several companies. Chintan offers valuable insights into the intersection of technology and e-commerce. The other speaker is Vikas Sankla, and I'll let Chintan do the intro.
Sure. All right, it's working? Okay, thank you. Thanks for that introduction, Vipin. And yes, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Vikas.
Hi.
So, well, honestly, he wasn't expected to be here, but I thought it would be good to have him on the stage as well. He's been involved in several new implementations for I-95 and the ones that we're going to cover today, he's been part of some of them. So good to have you, Vikas.
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Vikas Sankla. I'm an e-commerce consultant and got around 15 years of experience in e-commerce and Adobe Commerce implementations.
Okay. All right, so the agenda is pretty simple. We're going to talk about how to drive the multi-channel sales more effectively and more efficiently, leveraging the integrated e-commerce solutions. And I would be taking, or rather we would be discussing few live cases where we've developed similar solutions for several customers in the past and see what has been their experience, what has been the learning curve for us, and what we think is the best way to move forward if you really want to make it more effective. Quick introduction about I-95 we are a 24-year-old company, started our operations way back in 2000, but the focus on e-commerce really started in 2005, 2006. And we are one of the first few partners to really start developing e-commerce sites on top of Magento as a platform. So it's been almost 2 decades of Magento experience now. And as we started doing that, a lot of our customers came back asking for integration capabilities. And they wanted to integrate these e-commerce systems with the backend, with the ERP. And that's how our journey with the integration began. And as we developed some custom solutions, we also started productizing them. So with those productizations, we now have more than 25 such integration connectors that could easily integrate any of these e-commerce systems with several ERPs like Microsoft ERPs, Oracle's, SAP B1, Sage 100, and these are all available out of box. In terms of experience, more than 1,000 plus e-commerce projects, worked with few hundred enterprises, 50 plus countries, and I think the best part about this is almost 70 to 80% of our customers have been with us for several years. We have customers who've been with us for more than 10 years, and that's how our growth has been very, very organic. We recently also acquired a company based out of Ohio to also now focus on ERP implementations. So with that acquisition, we now also have capabilities to serve ERP customers, mainly for Microsoft Business Central and F&O. So quickly moving to the topic today, right? Why is it so important to sell across multiple channels? Now it's not a secret anymore, right? We don't need these surveys and the analysis to really tell us why it's so important, right? There's several channels. There are several ways to be in touch with the customers, and the more you are in front of your customers, the higher is the probability that those would convert into real sales. It's important to serve your customer well, be in front of them, generate those traffic across different channels, and then of course convert it with the right user experience, right? And that's what we're going to probably talk about when we look at some of these customer case studies, as we move forward. However, it sounds simple, but it's not as simple, right? These are some of the key challenges that one should take care of when you start on a journey for multi-sales strategy. Consistency, very, very important. You cannot have multiple different channels all doing its own brand identity. That consistency or the omni-channel experience is very, very important. Inventory management, we've come across customers who probably made the sell on a particular channel, but since there was no proper inventory management or there was no real-time sync with the ERP or with the inventory management system, there were several back orders and they could not fulfill the order on time. and there were several delays, a lot of overheads associated with it, and though they were doing good in terms of sales, they could not really fulfill those orders. So very, very important to make sure that the back end is appropriately managed as well. Customer service experience, probably important in any industry. Cost and operational efficiencies, communication across all channels. Like I said, it has to be an omni-channel experience. Meeting the channel requirements. Every channel would have its own requirements, and the buying process would be different. So you need to adjust and be able to adapt to those channel requirements as well. And then most importantly, finding I-95 dev or a reliable partner for that matter. Right? It's very, very important that you have the right partner who understands your overall ecosystem, who understands what is really good for you in terms of sales, and managing the entire ecosystem, and that's how you align better with the right partner. So this is one of our customers based out of Egypt. Right? It's a food manufacturer and retailer. Now this is again a very unique case. When they came to us, they already had several channels for sales. They already had a web application. They had a mobile application as well. And they had close to 12 different physical stores. But each of these channels were working in silos. There was no sync up between the mobile application or the web application, or for that matter, the ERP, which managed all their order information and other things. And similarly, all the POS systems that were deployed on the physical stores, there was absolutely no integration. So though they had good customer base, they were doing good sales, but they had several challenges to drive their sales through multi-channel. Inventory management, communication, because they were all working in silos, order fulfillment, customer experience wasn't so great. And then of course all of this led to a lot of overheads, because there were a lot of manual errors that came up. There were a lot of manual entries that had to be made in different systems, and it was more chaotic than anything more, right? So when we met them, the first thing we did was to start with a quick strategy, and then of course Vikas was part of this implementation, so he can probably throw some more light on this.
Yes. So when this specific client came to us, they were just having a mobile app, and they were not having any integration with their offline stores. So in Egypt, like they have around 12 physical stores, and they also plan to launch their e-commerce platform. So integrating this physical stores with online store, trying to give an omni-channel experience, it was a challenge for them. So I-95 Dev helped them to integrate all their 12 stores to give a complete omni-channel experience and give a real-time inventory updates to customers when they are browsing their e-commerce website. So apart from that, we also built an location proximity interface to them. Wherever the customer enters their zip code in nearest to their location, they would also see the nearest physical store which is available to them, and they can select the specific location and then try to place order to their nearest store, and also try to pick up or place online and pick up in store kind of functionality has been implemented. So apart from the online store, there is also integration with the ERP systems, the backend system, wherein all the orders for each and every store would go, and the entire transactions would show in their accounting systems.
Right. So when we started out, we started with a quick discovery session with them, and we did a complete strategy planning. And when we did those analysis, what we realized was that most of their customers were still buying through the mobile app. And which is why the first channel that we really picked up was the mobile application. So we developed or relaunched the mobile application, completely integrated with the ERP, took care of the first channel, and then along the way, then we started opening up more channels for them. So we started with the mobile application, then graduated to the web application, then we opened up the POS systems for them, and then finally also on some of these marketplaces which are prominent in Egypt. So it was more like a phase-wise implementation, but understanding the importance of each of those channels was really the key to their success. And because we are able to successfully do that, we could see that within just the first year of doing these things, we saw 50% improvement in their overall site performance, almost 99.85% decrease in the spam traffic, which means there were much higher conversions the customers who probably came to their websites or any of these channels were more relevant to the business, and that increased the revenue by almost 89% in the first year itself. So this is, the kind of results that they saw, when we went with the right strategy in place. This is again a customer based out of US. Don't judge the company by looking at me. It's a hair solution company. They are my client. I'm not there yet. So yeah, but again, very similar requirement. But more than the channels, I think they had a lot of applications that were working in silos. They had a CRM that could manage their customer relationships. They had a CMS system. They had a separate ERP system. There was also a custom consultation tool, which was working on its own, right? And none of these had any sort of integration or had any sort of relevance between one another. And I think that was one of their biggest challenges. They didn't have an e-commerce system when they met us, and I think the first thing that we really started out with was to develop the e-commerce system on Magento as a platform. And once we did that, we integrated those with all these different ERP systems and CRMs and CMS, and we could see a lot of value add there as well, because again was part of that implementation. So you want to just share some?
This specific client again had a challenge of integrating different systems. So they were earlier on Salesforce Commerce, and then they planned to move on Adobe Commerce Cloud, where they have custom business needs for the hair systems, where the customer would come online and take an appointment with the hairstylist, and then there will be a backend flow wherein the hairstylist would do a video consultation with the respective customer, where they take the measurement of their scalp and then take an order online, which would again sync back to their CRM system, and then therefore to the ERP system, which was on Dynamics Great Plains. So it wasn't very complex integration, because there are multiple systems involved apart from CRM, ERP. There was also a warehouse management system which would need to be integrated with the e-commerce platform.
Right, and these were some of the impact that was created, right? We had a much larger customer base, right? And the business operations were better streamlined. There was near real-time sync up between the ERP and the e-commerce, and it really helped them fulfill the order better. And all of this led to a lot of reduced operational overhead. So it's not always in terms of revenue that you really measure the impact of having an integrated e-commerce. Many times you also have to look at the cost savings and the overhead that it reduces if you have a more defined e-commerce ecosystem. The last one is a client dealing with musical instruments. Again, this particular client had multiple different sales channels. So they were there on different marketplaces, they were there on eBay, they were there on Amazon's and several other marketplaces as well, apart from their e-commerce, and each of these had to be maintained independently. So managing the inventory was a major challenge, fulfillment of the orders was a major challenge. So we brought all of that under a single umbrella, and then we could manage things much better for the overall e-commerce sales as well. Quickly, you want to throw some light on this?
This specific client started their business with marketplaces, and thereafter they planned to launch their e-commerce system, where they had a challenge like how they can get all the inventories between e-commerce and marketplaces. So I-95 Dev helped them to integrate their ERP system with the e-commerce platform, which was on Adobe Commerce again. And the Adobe Commerce was serving the inventories and stock updates to the marketplaces, which was having a near real-time stocks to the marketplaces, which is very important. And any orders which were getting placed on the marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart or Reverb, they were coming back to Magento, and Magento was again serving those all order information to the ERP system. So it was a very high volume website. So as I mentioned, like they started with the marketplaces, but as soon as they launched their e-commerce platform, they have started seeing a lot of growth on the e-commerce business.
Yeah, and I think they saw some 700% growth in the 5 years, next 5 years. 10,000 plus hours of efforts that were saved on the operational overheads. 150% plus growth year on year in terms of site traffic, and much better overall customer satisfaction and experience on the website.
For this specific customer, during the seasons like Black Friday and Cyber Mondays, we have seen in a day coming around 5 to 10,000 orders during years. Yeah. So it was a really good use case for us.
So, and there are several such examples, but in the interest of time, we could just show you a few of them. The key lessons that we learned from these experiences, first and foremost, it's very important to understand the end customers. What's their buying process like? How are they behaving on certain channels? Which are the more important channels that needs to be taken care of? Every business would have a different requirement. And depending on the industry, depending on the type of business, depending on the domain, it is very, very important that we identify those channels correctly, and more importantly, the buying process of the end customers. Once we understand that is when we do more like a phased implementation, where we strategize in terms of which channels to take upon first. How do we really grow on that? It's difficult to really start all at once. You cannot really target all the channels at once. So which are the more important channels? Like in case of the customer in Egypt, we started with the mobile application. But more often than not, you see that customers start with the web application first, and then they extend it to a mobile application, and then to different channels. But here, because we understood the customer buying process and we saw that there are more customers coming on the mobile application, we targeted the mobile channels first. So lead with the strategy, and then once you have the strategy in place, I would say that's almost 40 to 50% of the work done. Solutions, of course, there are several solutions available. We have integration connectors also available. So once you understand the customer requirements, lead with the strategy, that's when you then start on the solutioning part of it, which is probably 40% of the work done. So how can I-95 Dev really help in all of this? So this is more like a 5-step process we follow. It's called the Big M framework. So the first and foremost, we start with the strategy. Once the strategy in place, we help with the build phase, which is the actual development of all these different solutions and channels. Integrate it right with all the different applications within the ecosystem, rather than each working in silos without any sync up. The third part is growth, where you then grow into different channels. You also take care of your digital marketing, you do the right analytics, you understand the customer journey and how better you can improve the overall business. And then last is to then manage it, right? And that's also managing and monitoring it. So M is both managing it and monitoring the performance of the solution that you've developed so far. So this is the Big M framework that we follow. And in terms of the process, we can treat each of these steps individually as well. So we start with the strategy. Not always would you be starting from scratch. If it's a new implementation, then of course it's an omni-channel strategy where you start everything from scratch. But otherwise, there are also fractional services, like you may just require an architect to maybe define the right architecture for you. We can help with more in terms of the growth expert, where you identify the right channels, how do you grow more channels. And then the third one is the integration expert. So let's say if you have all of these things together, but the integration is a real challenge, we can help you just with the integration part of it, right? So you can either go with the complete omni-channel strategy, or you can take up any of these fractional services and then go about it. The second is the build, which is the actual development of the e-commerce solutions, right from managing your shipping, taxes, fraud prevention, payment, security, all of that, right? Whatever it takes to build the right e-commerce foundation, we take care of that. Store development, we also define the right user experience. We have a team that can define the right user experience for you, extend it to mobile applications and other channels as well. And we also have now started on headless commerce and ensuring that your e-commerce system is up to date. Integrate it right. So we have more than 25 integration connectors that could talk to various different applications, right? So Magento, of course, is one of the e-commerce platforms. And then on the ERP side of things, we have Microsoft. We take care of Microsoft ERP like Business Central, F&O, Great Plains, AX, the older ones as well, like Navision. We take care of NetSuite, Sage 100, SAP B1. right? So like I said, more than 25 connectors. And then there are also certain custom integration solutions that we can help for integration with CRM, integration with PIMS, and take care of the overall integration aspect. We have a team that can help with the digital marketing as well. So this is basically the growth phase, where we then start doing the marketplace selling, conversation commerce, moving to different geographies as well. If you want to expand internationally, we can help you with that as well. And then finally, doing the right kind of management, right? So this is both monitoring and management of your e-commerce system. That includes data enrichment, trainings, maintenance and support, enhancements, any kind of upgrades and migrations that might be required. So this is our overall offering, which starts with strategy, then comes build, integrate, grow, and manage. That's a big framework that we follow. And these are the connectors that I was referring to. So again, we've done more than, I think, 1,000 implementations of these connectors alone now, right, worldwide. And these are all available on different marketplaces, whether on Adobe Marketplace, so there are others as well, Microsoft, and several others. Okay, so that was what we had. I mean, of course, there's a lot more to be discussed, but yes, we can probably have a session after this as well, and we'll share our coordinates, and you can probably reach out to us for more details as well. If there are any questions, we can answer them now as well.
Any of you have questions for Chintan and Vikas? No? Okay. Thank you both.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.